Do you catch yourself wishing that you were as successful as others but struggling to move forward? If so, this podcast is for you. Welcome to Em.Powercoaching. Em.Powercoaching combines mental and physical fitness to help you connect the dots to unveil a more confident, energized and empowered version of you. So if you're ready, let's get into today's episode. What's up everyone, and welcome back to another podcast with myself, Emma. I am a health and mindset coach. If you are new to the podcast and this is the first time you're listening, if not, welcome back. Hello, and let's get into this podcast episode today. So today we're going to be talking about resistance to growth. So if you've ever caught yourself in that time, and let's face it, many of us do at some point go through this, where we catch ourselves just wishing that we were as successful as someone else. And it might be someone that is in your close circle, it might be a celebrity, it could be anyone, right? But you might have those times where you're just like, I wish that I had that life. I wish that I had that career. I wish I was successful as that person. And this is a really negative position to be in, but it is also a very common position to be in. You know, longing for that success, feeling jealousy and envy towards others, comparing yourself to other people is very common. All very negative behaviors, but very, very common. And a trait in which many people have but or are completely unaware of is a resistance to growth. Now, what that means and what that looks like. So a resistance to growth might be due to finding things like change, challenges, and facing fears just far too uncomfortable, that they're unable to move past anything and they're unable to grow. So you might find change uncomfortable, and examples of change could be a change of environment, it could be a change of habits, it could be a change of relationships, a change of career, it could be anything that is different from your current normality or your current routine. Challenges, you might not find challenges comfortable. To be honest with you, I don't really know anyone who finds challenges comfortable, but you might find them so uncomfortable that you just really avoid them at all costs, right? And you just do what you can to not have to face challenges. Challenges might be personal health challenges, fitness challenges, or it could be challenges at work, right? Maybe someone's asking a big challenge of you in order to get a promotion at work. It's basically when you see challenges as being a real problem and it's just too much and you don't like it. And so you stick to your comfort zone where the challenges are limited. And then facing fears might be too uncomfortable for some people. Okay, so I'm not talking about fears like extreme fears that you might have that could be quite severe psychological fears, but you know, everyday fears like fear of public speaking, fear of putting yourself out there, being authentic, fear of failure. Some people just find these things far too uncomfortable, and so rather than facing them, they choose to avoid them at all costs. And so this is when an individual will typically just stick within their comfort zone and stick to what feels familiar and sticks to their old habits. And obviously the problem with this is that you are not giving yourself an environment, so there we go, to grow, because you're staying within what you know, you're staying within your usual routine. Now, I used to be like this definitely when I was growing up in my teens and into my mid-20s, where I would find comfort in comfort. And I didn't like anything that was outside of my typical routine. You know, I had my routine and I would stick to it. And I didn't really like facing any challenges. I would avoid anything that felt like a challenge to me. And I certainly never faced my fears. If something felt like it was really scary in my eyes, something that I was really fearing, then I would just avoid it at all costs. To the point in which I might have skipped a few classes at school to avoid having to do a presentation in front of people. Yes, I did that. I might have pulled a sickie at work so that I didn't have to attend a team meeting. There have been a couple of times where I might have done that, might not. We'll leave it open for you to decide. But anyway, either way, I've been able to grow through that, which I'm incredibly grateful for now. And obviously, you know, that is not something that just happens. I had to practice and have a strategy in place for that. But I've definitely come from a place where I was also like this. And you know, being comfortable and staying within your comforts is detrimental to your health, to your well-being, and obviously, of course, to your growth. And I actually refer to this as the bubble wrap trap, because it is a trap, what you're doing. Essentially, you're wrapping yourself up in bubble wrap, protecting yourself from anything that feels incredibly challenging or is a discomfort. But in doing so, you're trapping yourself. You're literally tying yourself to a current situation and not allowing yourself to be free, to be able to explore new experiences and to be able to grow. So this kind of behavior where you see challenges, fears, changes as being problems is also known as a fixed mindset. So typically someone who has a fixed mindset will view challenges and discomfort as being problems and problems as being bad. They might quit easily on things, right? So when they're faced with a challenge, rather than pushing through and finding a solution and working through it, they might just go, no, I can't be doing with this, and they just quit. They see things very black and white, so they might view themselves as being really good at something or really bad at something, but no real sort of like in between or ability to explore that. They might view their current abilities as being fixed, so they might not think that they're able to improve or learn any new skills. They might see it as they've reached as far as they can and that's it. They're not able to go any further. They might see things as they either win or they lose, and again that there's no in between. They either do great at something or they do really bad at something, and that's it. They might be emotionally unstable or believe that they are emotionally unstable, and so for that reason they're not able to handle anything, and so they stick to, again, what they feel comfortable with. They might find that they're limited or say and believe that they are limited for whatever reason. You know, perhaps they have time restraints or they have a child or they don't have the necessary tools in which they believe they need in order to succeed at something. This is very much a fixed mindset, whereas someone with a growth mindset might believe and think, actually, my abilities are unlimited. Like I am not restricted in my abilities. They may say things like, I overcome challenges. And they have this approach to any challenges that they come across. They may view problems as things that are to be solved, not just a bad negative thing. A problem is something that can be solved. They may believe that they are stable and consistent, and that's how they view the way that they are in life. They may believe or state that they are growing, that they are changing, and they truly believe that. They may think that they improve with practice, which is completely true. You do improve with practice. And so rather than saying, oh, I'm good or I'm bad at something, you know, black and white, actually it's just like, I might be bad at something, but if I continue to practice, then I can improve. They might believe that they are unlimited in general, like their life is unlimited. So this is the difference between having a fixed and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset is that a challenge comes up and there's just no way through it, and that is that, and nothing happens. Whereas a growth mindset is, let's take this head on, let's figure out a way around it, and then try and move through it or find a solution. And that is how you get yourself to continuously grow and to be at a point in which self-development is achievable. Now, I guarantee that the majority of successful people that you have wished to be, that you have compared yourself or felt some jealousy towards, have each faced their own challenges as well, but chose to find ways to push through them and overcome them, rather than sitting back and saying, no, this can't be done. Sometimes we can get caught up in this kind of like victim mindset where it's like, oh, it's not fair, I didn't get this and I didn't get that, this person, they had it handed to them on the plate, and it can be a very bitter, negative place to be in. You don't always know the full story, and quite often, I don't know if you've seen the infographic meme, I don't really know what to call it, the picture of the iceberg, right, where it shows the tip of the iceberg as being like the success, then it shows the water, and then the iceberg that's under the water, the bit that we don't see with the eye initially, is all the hard work that goes into what it makes for that iceberg, or what is created in order to achieve that success that you see at the tip of the iceberg. It's a real kind of same thing. You know, we might see all these successful people, or what we perceive to be successful, on Instagram or on Facebook or in the news, in the media, whatever it might be that you're taking in this information, and forget that they have possibly been on their own journey to get there themselves, right? They've probably grinded and grafted for years and years and years, and this is their moment of blessing, where they've put in all the hard work and the graft, and now they're really reaping the rewards. You could also achieve that, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be easy, and some people might find it harder than others. The journey to success is different for everyone, and that is just not comparable whatsoever. You cannot compare that to anyone, no matter what it is. Let's say that you're trying to achieve financial freedom, or I don't know, you've got your heart set on a specific house or a villa that you want to have by a certain age, right? And you know someone who has something very similar. Just because they have it and you don't have it right now doesn't mean that it's completely out of your grasp. It might seem impossible at first. It might seem like it's going to be incredibly challenging to achieve, but it can be achieved if you really put your heart and soul into it and you find a way to work around it. So never forget the journey that someone has been on, and never forget that you can also embark on that journey. And when you do reach that point of when you've put in all the work and you've continued to work on your personal development and your growth, that you can also be at a point where you're reaping the rewards as well, that you're also having your moment to shine. So I think it's really beneficial to spend some time sitting down and trying to identify if you have a resistance to growth, and to take note of possible reasons why you have a resistance to growth. Do you have a resistance to change? Is it something about change of environment or career, or just change in general that makes you feel uneasy? Do you have a resistance to facing challenges and putting yourself in a position of discomfort? Do you have a resistance to facing your fears, your personal fears, for example, public speaking or giving presentations? Try to identify what these possible reasons are and why you have them as well. What is the root cause of this? For example, if you've got a fear of public speaking, why do you think you've got that fear? Has it stemmed from a past experience, maybe a childhood memory or something that has happened in your lifetime where you've experienced a really negative impact from public speaking? Maybe you gave a presentation at school and you got a really negative response from everyone, or some kids in class took the mickey out of you. Maybe your parents were not good at doing public speaking and they had their own fears and they spoke about it around you, or you witnessed it and that's left a mark on you. Usually these things come from experience, so it's really trying to figure out why. Why do you have a resistance to change, challenges and fears? And then once you've been able to identify your resistance and the reasons why, then it's looking at, okay, how can you approach this differently going forward? What have you done already? How are you approaching the situations currently? And what can you do to approach them differently going forward? Now, that might mean that you have to seek out some support from family, friends, therapy, coaching, in order to be able to work through it and move past it. It might simply be that instead of putting something on the back burner, that you say, do you know what, I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to schedule a time to face this head on and give it a bash and explore and be open to whatever the outcome might be. If it's something to do with change, you might want to sit down and make a pros and cons list. How have you currently been approaching the idea or the thought of change, and what can you do to change that? So has your head been filled with really negative thoughts and emotions about the change? And if so, can you find a way to pull out the positives from the change and to think about how that change might actually affect you in a positive way if you're able to go ahead with it and stick with it? I guarantee you that if you can work through this and you can work through your resistance to these areas, your self-development, your personal growth is going to accelerate. And when that happens, that's when you start to find fulfillment in life. That's when everything starts to come together. Your values, your passions, your purpose all become aligned, and you actually start to feel fulfilled about your life. And when you feel fulfilled in yourself and your life, that's when you stop comparing yourself to others and you stop feeling jealousy and wishing that you were like someone else or that you had someone else's life. You then become very content with your own life. But you really cannot simply just sit back and wish for these things to happen. You have to take action. And this is a really good starting point in being able to do that. So I hope this has been super helpful for you. Thank you very much for listening. If this has helped, or it's got some cogs turning in your brain, or it's got your mind ticking over about some things and you found it useful, then definitely share this with other people who might also be going through this, who might also be struggling with a bit of a resistance to growth. And of course, always feel free to reach out to me and connect with me over on my social media pages, Instagram, Em.Powercoaching, or on Facebook, Em.Powercoaching UK, because I absolutely love to hear about how these podcasts have influenced you, whether it's just a little bit or whether it's a lot, whether you've taken a little bit of action or whether you've taken a lot of action, whatever it might be. I love to hear from you guys. Thank you very much for listening, and I will catch you on the next one.